conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of our field gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
Welcome everybody, this is the match debate, debating over our last minute win against Wolverhampton Wolves just 24 hours ago, give or take, here or there. I'm joined by Peter the Coach Kofinas and Aussie Robbo, Jimmy James Nicholson. How are you, gentlemen? I'll go to Pete first. How are you feeling, sir?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm always good, especially after a win, which we've had quite a few of them this year. So we've had every time we've match debated together, it's been lovely. I just want to jump in here to quick shout out to Lucky, because Lucky's writing comments before we even started the show. So clearly he's keen for today.
That's a first.
We have a new, obviously this is the first one I've seen this person, Arsenal Vlogs, who says, "Hi, and how are you?" And I'm going to say, "Not too bad, thank you. If you don't mind, take some points off the scum tomorrow." So
exactly right, 100%. Also, shout out to Ray. So Pete's in good spirits. Jimmy, how are you feeling?
Mate, I am absolutely on top form after that win. Feeling great, ready to contribute to the DIVOCK Origi statue. Sitting here having a conversation with yourself and Alison Becker lookalike up in the picture on that side. There he is. It's a pleasure and it's an honour.
Indeed, it is, gentlemen. Now, it has to be said, it was a frustrating game, I have to say, from my perspective, the way I was looking at it. You thought first half, chance after chance, second half with that, well, everyone knows the Jota chance that really should have been a goal any which way you see it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, that gets buried, and he just went for power. I think he had panicked a little bit. But look, let's be real here. We could not afford to slip up, because it's happened previously. Chelsea lost 3-2 to West Ham. Now West Ham have beaten both us and Chelsea by the same scoreline, and it goes without saying, going to West Ham away is not an easy feat if the league leaders, those that are tipped to be up there at the end of the season, are losing away. So in hindsight, you're probably looking at it, okay, maybe we shouldn't have lost that game, but hey, Chelsea lost as well, so it's not all bad. But lucky we got that win. It was a very important win, and it has to be said, it was at the death. Like, again, Pete, did you watch the game live?
yeah, I watched the game. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How did you feel about watching that game live? What were your feelings when you saw DIVOCK touch, swivel, and bang it into the goal?
Going back to the Chelsea thing, it's funny because I don't know if you saw the goals that they conceded. They were just like weird goals. It's very similar to the ones that we conceded against West Ham. Just weird crosses off a corner. Like one scored from a cross. So it's something to do with that ground. I reckon they've cursed it. I reckon they've sacrificed a small goat or something on that pitch to make sure that somehow the bigger clubs always concede weird goals, because, like they said, that third goal they scored, far out. We don't see that going very often like that, especially against a team who's so well drilled like Chelsea.
I don't know if that was a deflection or not, if it was just a fluke. Everyone remembers Puppy Cisse's goal at Stamford Bridge for Newcastle. He just bananaed it straight over Peter Cech. So it could be one of those ones. But yeah, it was interesting that that could be something there with West Ham. They're on a good roll, but we're not here to talk about West Ham. We're here to talk about Liverpool FC. And just quickly, Jason says that's what we do. Win it at the death, I suppose. And Lucky says as well, as soon as Jota missed that chance, I was convinced we were not winning.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the man of the match, and Jason says it was a cross. It probably deflected. Either which way, it went in. So I think it was a Masuaku who scored the goal. I don't know who it was, whoever it was. It was a great finish. Any which way, they lost, which was good for us. But I want to go back on what Lucky was saying here, because it did seem that Jota felt the heat and the pressure, perhaps. Jimmy, he was trying everything, flashing headers, chances at goal, missed opportunities, that dead on goal. You thought, even if he first timed it going into the penalty box, but he kept on going. When we missed, were you thinking the same thing that Lucky was, that was it, we're not winning this game?
To a point, yes. It's quite funny because I felt that Diogo Jota had been involved in some fantastic stuff, particularly in the first half, been getting to some really good positions. And a lot of people forget Diogo Jota's actually scored quite a lot of goals with his head, despite the size and stature of him. So he gets himself into really good positions, is good at creating those opportunities by the timed runs, positions, everything like that. And I felt that he was getting closer and closer and closer, and the chance is going to come and it's going to pay off. He doesn't necessarily have the old club hoodoo, because he scored the winner against them at Molineux last season, I think it was. So the monkey's off the back kind of thing. But there was something going on today when he had that chance and the goalkeeper and defender collided. And all he had to do was just slot it past two defenders who were standing next to each other on the line.
Or just past the Mane.
Yeah, or past the Mane in a 2 meter tall by 8 meter wide goal frame. As soon as he missed that, I thought, oh, fuck this. Like, that's it, done. If we're not going to score those ones, it was almost like we were sort of going back a couple of years where it was almost like we just can't even score when we get the best opportunities. Whereas what we've proven this season at times, not maybe the last season as well, but maybe the previous season, is we can find ways to score goals. We can find ways to create chances. We're not that team that we only really have one or two outlets. We actually have multiple outlets, and we have multiple players who can do different things. Mohamed Salah was probably blocked out for the game for the most part, right up until the very end, when he took probably one of the greatest touches that any wide attacker could ever take to beat a defender who's probably on his last legs at that point, or just wasn't actually into the game at that time at all. I think it was actually Kiyana Hoover it was up against when that happened.
No, it was against Hoover there. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because I think they had just made that sub, and I just think he hadn't come into the game. It just took the touch, was away from him, and then that was it. But at that moment with Diogo Jota, when he missed that one, I just thought, here we go. It's going to be one of those games where we have all the chances, all the opportunities, and we walk away with a point if we're lucky.
Pete, there's a comment here from Jason who says, we always go to the end. Look at the year we won the title. A lot of people are saying it was like Aston Villa away vibes, where we got those two late goals, Robertson and Mane, and we managed to win it. And they say champion teams win games even when it looks like it's done and dusted, that they're not going to win. Is there something in this Liverpool team you're seeing this year where we can push forward? We are getting that same sort of feel there. Keeping in mind our squad is one at the moment. Everyone is fit. Everyone is firing. At the moment, everything seems to be looking good. Do you get those vibes from performances like this, or do you think there is still improvement to be made?
No, look, it's interesting because we have that DNA in us. It's funny, even whether it's a Klopp team or anyone who's managed Liverpool, we've always kind of had these weird games that we score like 95th minute winners or equalizers, or there's always magical moments that happen at this football club. That's why I love being a Liverpool fan as much as I hate being a Liverpool fan. It's so like, it's not necessary, because Jota with the open header, again, Jota with that incident that Jimmy was just talking about, like, the game didn't need to go to the 96th minute. Like, it didn't. That was unnecessary. It didn't need to happen, but yet here it was. So, yeah, of course, the championship winning teams always find ways to win. That's how you win the league. You always find ways to win. And it was good that we ended up finding a way to win in this match, because we had seen it in the past, a couple of games this season where we didn't find ways to win. There was, the Chelsea game. Then there was obviously the win in front in Brentford. We didn't hold the lead. 2-0 up at Brighton. The West Ham game itself. Like, we kind of, those games, we didn't really have an answer for those games. That we kind of, it looked blunt, so to speak. But then this game, for some reason, hopefully that's a turning point at a crucial time of the season, because we've got so many games coming up thick and fast, and we need to win these kind of games, especially when the teams around us are dropping points. Like, so it's good that Chelsea dropped some points. Hopefully there's a bit of a few more speed bumps for them along the way, but it's Manchester City for me. And I said it from day one in our first ever podcast for this season. For me, it's Manchester City that we need to drop points on anybody else.
Yeah, City seem to be the team, and they are going on a run, and Bernardo Silva is sort of equal in the form that Mo Salah is in. And even though Salah didn't score in this game, there were a couple of chances. Look, he'll be credited with the assist, and that's another goal contribution for him. And it was nice to see a player off the bench actually impact and be a game changer. So I'm going to go to this right now. I don't care what Pete says, I'm going to put this up anyways. The man, the myth, the legend, DIVOCK. Look, I'll just read what Rahul says first up. Says, Jota had an off day, and even though I have Origi, I have to often thankful for him for securing 3 points. That's why we need Firmino back to strengthen our bench. Well, if Firmino's back, he'll probably be starting if Jota would come off the bench to get yourself a goal. But look, that's a big call from Lucky. That's a big call there.
I hope so.
I do too, but we'll see what happens. But DIVOCK, he comes off the bench, and Klopp's put him on. When I saw him warming up off the bench, I thought, I'm like, we don't really have anyone else we can put up there as a striker. Like Minamino as a striker, I'm like, I don't know. And the thing to note is he did play central because Salah was still on the pitch. Mane was on as well. So they're playing in their normal position. So he was striker. And you can see he was effective. He was receiving the ball, playing ones and twos, trying to have a dig from outside the box as well. Unsuccessful at most times. But still, he managed to squeeze himself in there and get himself the goal. And the crowd just absolutely erupted. People were singing his praises. Is he the best super sub we've ever had? Granted, he scored some winning goals for us in the past. He got the equaliser against West Brom some seasons ago. Got the away goal at Dortmund in the Europa first leg and scored in the second one as well to get us back into the game. Obviously, the Everton goal, 96th minute. We also had the Barcelona comeback and the Champions League final. So, what do you make of that?
It's an interesting one because obviously he seems to do these things. The Everton goal, the 96th minute Everton goal as well, with Pickford having that issue with the crossbar that he couldn't reach. He just seems to have these moments where he just pulls this magic out of nowhere, and we just remember how good he can be for us. I mean, of course, he's not at the world-class quality level that we see from Mohamed Salah or that we can get from Sadio Mane, or the consistent, workhorse that we need from a player like Roberto Firmino. But he turns up at the right time and he does something magic. And I'll be the first to put my hand up. I remember last season he only scored 1 goal, right? And we had a lot of games where we needed goals and we would bring him on and his contribution was minimal at best. And that was what, a lot of people at the time were saying, we should have sold him when he was at his peak. We should have got the 20, 30 million from whatever it was. But it's quite clear that Jurgen Klopp sees that he can contribute something still. And, we've said before that maybe Jurgen Klopp sometimes has a little bit too much faith in some of his players and he holds on to them for a little bit too long and needs to let them go at the right time. But quite clearly, DIVOCK Origi has shown this season that he's got something that he can still offer this club. Whether it's been in the League Cup, he's obviously got a couple of goals there, but he's now got a couple of goals now in the league as well. And as we approach Christmas and AFCON, which is going to happen a lot sooner than I think we're ready for, we're going to need a player like DIVOCK who can actually come on, contribute in those kind of positions and actually help us to win games or grind out results, whatever it's going to be. So if he's starting to find that form again, like he did 2-3 years ago, man's a legend. Love it. Do it every week for me.
Pete, the fact that Origi comes on, hasn't really played often. Jimmy just mentioned that he's played a couple of cup games. That's about it, really. No real Premier League time this season so far. But does this tell us that, hey, we can actually rely on this guy when we need to dig deep and get ourselves a goal? Because when he starts, I think we're all in agreement. He's not the best. I think even the commentators were saying it, or someone was saying it in post-match. I think Michael Owen, it might have been on the Optus feed for us in Australia. They were saying, he's not the best when he starts games. He's not really that effective, but off the bench, 15, 20 minutes, he'll get you a job done. Do you think that's the way we use him best?
He's a funny player. He's a funny player. I don't know what else to say to you. I've never seen a player who's convinced the world that he's done. Forget him. And then he'll go and do something like this now. Score a 95th minute winner, and everyone will be like, I always loved him.
Yeah.
And it's funny because what's going to happen now? He's going to do the same thing. He'll go missing for another 6 months, come back, score the win in the Champions League final, because he's going to do that, because that's the player that he is. And yes, we will make the Champions League final. He's going to score the winner in that game, just to let you know, because I've seen the future. He's going to score the winner. And then all of a sudden it's going to be, where's that statue gone? It's hilarious. I've never seen a player do this in anyone's career ever at any club. I swear to God. we have on our hands more than a player. We have this weird multi-dimensional fucking person who makes people go crazy in so many different ways. How I can't describe this person. I can't do it because you know what? With 10, 15 minutes to go, you're kind of like, yeah, he's different. Throw him on. Let's see what happens. And he
Yeah.
trips over the ball. And everyone goes, fuck, we don't need anybody. We should buy some. We need to buy somebody. He's shit. He's this, he's that. And you know what? Half the time they got a valid point. And then he'll come on randomly with, again, like, you know, he comes on and you kind of go, oh, here we go, whatever. Next thing you know, he scores the winner. And then it sends the Liverpool bench into mayhem. And Kostas Tsimikas is celebrating like a fan, like a fan in the stands. So this is this player, DIVOCK Origi. Yeah. He's this weird person. He's a weird player. It's so hard to describe him. I can't describe him.
It's very odd to summarize a player like Origi. Klopp keeps going on about him being so good, he's great, he's this and he's that, but it's like, well, we never see him. Like, where's this quality that this player possesses? And just an interesting comment here from Rizla. Shout out to Rizla. Says, if you combine Diogo Jota's natural instinctive goal scoring ability with DIVOCK's mentality and Soma type, you would have one hell of a player. Because Origi's like, I'll just keep going. He had 3 shots in that game. 1 was blocked, 1 was off target. The other one was the winner. 33% conversion rate. Like, that's a decent conversion rate. Mind you, I think I saw a stat online. I say a comparison between strikers, and it was Origi and Harry Kane. Origi's got 2 goals this season so far. Harry Kane's only got 1, and Origi's got 19 minutes between both goals. Kane's got over 1,000 minutes between his 1 goal. Like, you want to talk about things like that, and he's had 5 shots in total. Kane's had 27 shots. So impact, yes, 100% impact player. But I think the whole talk of like sign him up for life, give him a life contract, all that stuff, it's all fun and games. I get that, but some people I think are just looking way too much into it. Jimmy Origi, it was looking like he was going to be sold. He stayed on. He's like, no, I'm going to stay there. Would you be content in being a bench player, coming on and scoring vital goals for your team, being the instrumental man behind the scenes that no one really thinks about until you've actually done something? Because we're still thinking in the back of my minds, oh, wow, Firmino would have done something there. Oh, we need Bobby there. Oh, you know, Thiago needs to do this. Fabinho needs to do that. You don't really think of Origi saying, like, we need Origi for this. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying, but I agree with Pete. This man is in a complete enigma. How he exists, I just can't work it out. He literally, it's like he'll sit on the bench, and quite clearly he sits on the bench and he is watching the game and he is analysing what's going on. But sometimes when you see his demeanour when he comes on or when he's at training or whatever he's doing, it's sort of like they've went, oh, no, you're meant to be over here, mate. No, you're meant to be training and doing this. And he's like, yeah, all right, yeah, cool, no worries. Like, it doesn't seem phased or aware of what's going on around him, and I think that's what makes him so good. But the reality is, what he's done, obviously, he scored this winning goal. It's great. He's had that 18-19 season where he was contributing fantastically in the 19-20 season as well when we won the league. But his next challenge is to develop into this player that isn't just an impact player. Like, it's great to have an impact player, but they're only good once every 6 weeks at best. You need someone who's going to be an impact player from the moment the whistle is blown when we start a game. That's the kind of impact player that we need to see DIVOCK Origi become. And whether there's a bit of a shift as to what's going on, because I still forget DIVOCK Origi's been around this club for a long time now, a good 6-7 years. But DIVOCK Origi's still only 26 years old, right? Like, that's still mind-blowing to me. So there's probably still parts of his game that he's still growing, developing, learning, whatever it might be. He's probably still quite set in his ways in a lot of things, but there's still lots that he can still add to that. So what does that look like over the next 3 to 6 months when we talk about the Christmas period, AFCON coming up to the end of the season, everything like that? To me, at the moment, I think he's quite content just where he is. I think he knows that he has a part to play. I think he knows how valuable he is to Jurgen Klopp, because when it seems like he's going to get put on the shelf, and it's sort of like, well, you had your time, and we really appreciate what you've done for this club, but we're thinking of the next thing. He's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to go score a couple of winners, a few games in a row, and then we'll see what you think. And then it's like, oh, well, we can't get rid of this guy. This guy's amazing. Jesus. What? So it's impossible to tell. At the moment, he looks happy. He looks like he's enjoying himself. I'm enjoying him coming on the pitch for 20 minutes, putting the ball in the back of the net, and then disappearing for a few weeks again. So you just don't know. You just don't know.
Jason's got an interesting comment here. He says he still needs to be sold, but he won't leave. Do you think he doesn't want to leave Liverpool, or no one wants to buy him, Pete? I think we've. No, I'm being dead serious. I'm not taking the piss here.
Yeah,
I'm being dead serious, Pete, because we've had this discussion before. Remember, Klopp tried to shop him around. You know, he always talks a player up in the off season, like he did with Shaqiri as well.
I made the comment very clear. I think that it's a bit of both. I think that he doesn't want to leave the club because he's content being where he's and what he's doing, and plus he's obviously doing that stuff with the Liverpool University. So he's trying to literally make sure he can't be sold from the club. Then there's the part of, I think clubs are interested in him, but I think that we won't bargain in terms of, I don't think we're going to go for anything under our asking price, and I don't think other teams want to pay the asking price. So I think that's where we land. I think that we're in this weird like tug of war for do we, don't we? And I'm at the look, to be honest with you, you all know my thoughts on the whole topic. I'm kind of with Jason here. And I agree with Jason. To be fair, we should try to get Jason on the show one day, or anybody else in the comments who've been with us. Just send us a DM and we'll get you one of our shows coming up, because we're doing one midweek as well for the AC Milan game. So if you guys want to jump in on our show, please just hit us up on
Socials
Twitter.
down below.
Send us a DM and we'll get you involved, because you're all so consistent with our shows, and we want to obviously show appreciation and get you on. So, yeah, send us a message. But going back to the question, if we're not buying anybody, then don't sell anybody. It's as simple as that. So I don't think sell him if we're not going to buy it. But if we're looking at, for example, you know, there's these rumors that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point during this show, the Adama Traore kind of rumors. But if we're not bringing anybody in, then you got to keep Origi. It's simple as that.
Got to keep him in. Well, I think we've harped on about the man, the myth, the legend, DIVOCK Origi enough for one pod. But let's go back to the game itself. And we've spoken the praises of the winning goal. Jota's fluff day, had an off day. Pressure at Molyneux back again. Maybe whatever, he'll scrub it off. He'll probably score a goal against AC or against Pete's Aston Villa on the weekend. But let's just say go here. It was the same starting 11 from our win versus Everton. Jimmy, what did you make of that? We probably expected some changes, didn't we?
Yes and no. It's the first time this season that we played the same 11 back to back, which was actually quite an interesting stat. I didn't expect that, but thinking back to the injuries we've had recently, it does make sense. But now that we've got a full strength side, mostly a full strength side, why not play your full strength side when they're available? It's as simple as that. We've spoken over the last few weeks about how good Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has been when he has had the opportunity to play, everything like that. But when you've got, because we're mostly focused on midfield, that's been the biggest contention point, the biggest talking point, at least for us. When you've got the availability of Thiago Alcantara, who I think's probably played the first full 90 minutes for Liverpool this season, which has been great to see. Fabinho's obviously the rock as well, and then you've got Jordan Henderson, your captain, your leader, everything like that. If you've got them available, then you play them. It's as simple as that. It would be great to bring Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I've said this before about trying to because he needs the momentum. He needs to continue playing for that strong, consistent performance to be seen. But it's actually a good thing to see that we've got full availability, yet we can still select the same side. We've obviously got AC Milan coming up, and I think that's when we're going to see the wholesale changes to the starting 11. I think that's probably also why we've continued with the same 11 to keep that consistency. So I'm actually quite curious, quite interested to see what Jurgen and co go with when we travel to Milan this week.
Pretty much a dead rubber. Not that I want to harp on this one here, but just to come from Lucky, he says, even Klopp after the game said he hopes that DIVOCK gets a manager that plays him more than he does. So even Klopp is like, you know what, if a bid comes in, you know, we'll sell him. But like Pete said, if you're not buying anyone, do not sell anyone. You can't be left short. So hopefully they heed that and they actually realize that they can't do these sort of things. Pete, the game itself, though, what I noticed was Wolves were very organised, 5 at the back, four in the middle, one up top, and the goalkeeper. Is that my maths right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's correct.
One, yeah.
Yeah, so defensively, we just could not get anything going. And I personally thought we were a bit sloppy and laggy. Do you think that could have been because we played the same starting 11 as we just mentioned? Or is this just running out of ideas with Wolves not playing as we probably would like a team to play to come at us? What did you make of that? Passes were going astray. Things were not happening. It was always going down Trent's side. It just wasn't working.
I think that can come with obviously 2 quick games back to back. I think this is why it's a great chance to rest everybody for AC Milan this week, because at the end of the day, it's good for Minaminos, Origis, and Konates and everybody else to try and get Tyler Morton even to get games. Tsimikas now, because everything is coming thick and fast, so it's good to get the rotation possible to have this exact same 11 again versus Villa, because I think what we're finally starting to see is a lot of people get a little bit embarrassed of their comments on Thiago, because once again he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and I really want these people to apologise just to football in general, not to us, not to Liverpool fans, but just to football. Write an apology to football and say, I'm sorry for saying Thiago slows play down or Thiago doesn't fit our system. It's embarrassing, but it's good to see him kind of hit that form that he hit towards the back end of last season. Again, he's playing with Fabinho. Record still stands, no losses with Fabinho and him side by side. So there's obviously something in that. But in terms of the performance being laggy and sloppy, I get what you're saying, but I've got to give the stadium atmosphere credit, and I've got to give Wolves credit, because they did make it really, really tough. And when you've got someone like Traore who, he doesn't deliver as much as he should in a final third, you've always got to know that this pain in my ass can definitely just hurt us at any moment. And he did look dangerous in moments as well. I think one thing that we did really, really well was not have Jimenez couldn't really get on the ball or get any service. I think that was excellent. I think we kind of nullified his threat, because I do love him. And prior to the head injury, I was all over him coming to Liverpool. Like, I was praying that he's our, Firmino 2.0 kind of player. So, I think that we definitely got to give them credit, especially the fullback who was on Salah all game. He did a really, really good job on Salah. He kept Salah quiet. Although, if we're going to be really, really picky, I think we can kind of look at Mane's performance overall, even Henderson's to an extent, his performance overall, where the passes, as you said earlier, were a little bit sloppy, a little bit astray, and just kind of off. But then again, you got to give the opposition credit every now and then as well. And I give Wolves full credit for the way they actually set up in their game plan against us.
Yeah, I have to say, before I ask you the next question, Jimmy, well, watching the game halfway through that second half, I just went, because I'm watching in defense how they set up. I'm just like, wow, 5 across the back, 4 in the middle. I'm just like, but they're not giving us any space. There's nowhere for us to move into. Mane, apart from that, one chance where Jose Sa had a good save. He had a decent game, I thought, apart from obviously the goal they conceded. But Roman Saiss, he was on Salah. He was there, left back. So, a decent game, but got ripped once or twice. But Ait Nouri as well, who plays on that midfield, that left wing type of position. He had a decent game. He had a solid game, I thought, as well. Actually, he was pretty decent. Rizla, shout out to Rizla again.
He's speaking Greek now. He's speaking Greek at the end.
Says, you guys have the best live LFC stream, super interactive. All of you have different perspectives, great personalities. I don't know, you Pete can, whatever that means.
Pete, πρέπει να έρθει στην Ελλάδα, there είναι προπονητής. Basically, he's asked me to go to Greece.
Go back
and be
again.
a coach in Greece. So, yeah.
Why not? One day, Pete. One day.
It almost happened last year, actually. But that's another story for another day.
Who would you coach?
Look, that's a story for another day. But it almost happened.
We'll keep it Liverpool based. Yeah, keep it Liverpool based. Jason says here as well, we caught them offside a lot with our high line. That's always a worry for me sometimes, actually, come to think of it, because sometimes you think if there's a quick enough player just off the shoulder, and I think that happened a few times where a player's got loose, and I think it was one offside. I think it was Adama went once or twice, but it's always risky playing a high line. But Wolves, just go back to that. James, because when we're watching a game and they're just not giving us any space and they're throwing their bodies on the line, I think Cody copped a gut hit, he copped a
you got all
ball to the
sorts.
head or something. Like, man, it was like he's like, "If you blokes, you guys didn't give me enough chance, and I'm gonna come back and stop you or whatever." But look, you got to keep it real. Bruno Lage as well set up his team well, and honestly, when I saw 0-0 half time, once I got home from my gig, watching the second half, I just went, how the hell are we going to win this game? Wolves were just set up proper. Did you think that they were going to nab one on the counter-attack, man?
I didn't think they had the threat to do that, to be honest. I thought defensively we looked really strong. We actually worked with the high line really well. I know there's been times this season where the high line is actually... that's exactly true. Where the Highline's worked for us really, really well. A lot more lately. We had a few issues with it at the start of the season, but the tactical fouls were fantastic. I think Fabinho copped a yellow card for bringing down. Oh no, maybe it was actually Thiago for bringing down Traore as he's looking to break. He looked their biggest threat, and we shut him down really quick. But going back to Wolves, I actually thought defensively, as much as I hate to say it, I thought Wolves were fantastic defensively. Mo Salah, who's been by far our best player all season, who has put some of the best defenders on the back foot multiple times, wasn't a threat until the left wing back went off and was replaced. And then, as mentioned before, Keanu Hoover, the former Liverpool boy, has also come on and has just completely forgotten about the pace of the Liverpool star man, and that's how we've got a goal. And for a quality team like Liverpool, that's all you need. You need that one opportunity, and that's where we got. But it feels a bit weird to say it, but I actually felt a bit bad for Connor Cody. I thought Connor Cody had a fantastic game. I think he is. I don't think he's a world-class defender. I think he's just a really good English-British defender. That sort of typical style that you used to see back in the 90s. And he copped all sorts. He got snapped by his own player in the first half trying to make a block. He got it right in the gut, blocking Jota in the second half. And right at the death is when they lost it. A great win for us, but it's just an unfortunate one for them. But you have to give credit where it's due as well. They were set up fantastically well, very well organised, and managed to hold a really good Liverpool side. Even though we probably weren't at our best, we still were a threat. I think that's what we want to see, and so hats off to them.
100%. Shout out to the Reclaimer LPL. I think that means Liverpool, maybe. It says, morning from a wet and windy pool. Sounds about right.
First time on your show, I think. Is it your first time? Yes or no? Let us know.
No, he was commenting last one.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in the comments in the last one. Yeah, that was my introduction to Liverpool. Landed on a wet and cold Wednesday evening back in 2016. That were the fun times there. That's about there. But once again, it is without saying. Sorry, it goes without saying that these are the results that really do matter, because without getting these 1-0s when you really need to, you drop off. And look, if we didn't, then we would be an extra point behind City right now, because City won their game 3-1, and they are going to be the team to beat. Someone said it earlier on in the chat, Chelsea are going to drop off. I don't know if they're going to drop off, but I just don't know if they've got enough to go the distance. They'll finish top 4, I do think. First and second, that's the trick. If our goals come from other players apart from Salah and Mane hasn't been scoring that often this season in any case, but if Jota's on form, if Chamberlain pops in with a goal from outside the box, maybe, if we, wishful thinking.
I thought he was talking about Pete for a second. I was like, I missed something.
Hang on. I said I'll be baby oiled up if we sign him, just for shits and giggles.
For the sake of it, everyone will get the blonde dreads and get oiled up.
What about this question? What do you reckon?
Cade Gordon. He is quick though. He plays in that Salah position, doesn't he? Maybe.
I think that we've got to be careful. Sometimes we've got to be careful when you drop in young people too early. I think we saw that with Jota and I potentially, because obviously we ended up know what happened with him, and it's happened before where players like even Theo Walcott's career where he was 17, World Cup, all that kind of stuff. I think you got to be careful, because sometimes there is too early. But I think we will see him potentially feature against AC Milan. I think we're going to see him feature in the cup games coming up. I think he's going to be very, very careful in terms of how he introduces him to first team football and the pressures of first team football. But I think that would he be utilised? No. I think we're more than likely to see Oxlade-Chamberlain play on the wing before we see Kate Gordon in the Premier League in the bigger games. I think with Minamino, Origi, plus Firmino, who's not obviously playing anything. So I think there's your front three right there. I think that's what it's going to be with Firmino, Origi, and Minamino. Would I like to see Kate Gordon more? The answer is yes, but I want to see him more in less pressured situations. So, for example, if he starts against AC Milan, great. It's a Champions League game at Anfield. Or no, sorry, at the San Siro. It's a Champions League game at the San Siro, and there's absolutely no terrible outcome for us other than an injury. So we can lose 25-0. It doesn't matter. We still finish first, and we go through the next round. I like to see him there. A couple of the cup games, whether it's starting and coming off 60th minute or coming on with 30 to go. Yeah, awesome. But I wouldn't want to put that pressure on him in obviously throwing him into it where if Sullivan doesn't play for 8 games.
Jason says he can't play AC. Maybe he's not registered for the Champions League.
Was he on the bench for one of them games?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because he's under 21, he doesn't have to be registered. But just talking about AFCON, you've got to remember they're talking about Harvey Elliott being back in time for the start of 2022. Obviously, there's a period that you need to sort of get yourself back up to match fitness, everything like that. But with AFCON being in February, there is the potential that we might see Harvey Elliott coming back. And then speaking about young players coming in, obviously we've seen Harvey Elliott play maybe 1-2 seasons in cup games, playing against Arsenal in the EFL Cup and then whoever else that we've played when we've not been knocked out early on. And it's only now this season that we're starting to see Harvey Elliott, up until his injury, actually start to have a bit of an impact. So there's a process to bringing in young players. And the reality is, and Pete, you'll know better than anyone, than the two of us, but young players develop at different rates and are ready at different stages. Some people could probably come in and go flying in. Some you got to really take your time with them. So it's you got to give them that opportunity, that time.
I want to say the comment here from Daddy Pig on the front three when Mane and Salah are away, and also the Reclaimer LPL. I was going to say Reclaimer Liverpool. I just think that's what he stands for, unless I stand corrected. But he says our mid-season break is while the AFCON is on, so they only miss maybe 2 games. That's an interesting point there. Do you think that that's plausible? They're only away for 2, in which case we don't really miss them for anything?
Well, look, let's face it. A front line of Jota, Firmino, and Origi, or Jota, Firmino, and Minamino for 2 games, or whether it's Oxlade or you'd hope that they can do the business. Do you know what I mean? You'd hope that's. And I think it's who was it? It was it Burnley and Brighton, or the 2 games, the rumored 2 games, or something like that. So you'd hope that we can do that.
Burnley and Leicester.
Burnley and Leicester. Oh, okay. Well, then you can still hope that there's enough there in that squad to deal with that. And so I think that's okay if it's only the 2 games. We're just scared of that rumored 8 that keeps changing up and down with 2. Sometimes it's 8. Then there's 25 games. It's one of the ones that just there's no 100% concrete information yet, so it becomes annoying to talk about. I even hate talking about it, to be honest, because it's not concrete yet. So, and there's rumors of it might not even going ahead now because of the new strain going around. So, that's why I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest.
We'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. But yeah, apparently Jason says that he's not in the Champions League squad, that being Cade Gordon, so that's probably why he's not going to play. But you expect, or if not a whole changed first 11, you expect at least 5 or 6 players to be on a rotation. Origi will probably start. Minamino, I think most definitely. Chamberlain probably will start. That's looking ahead to the AC Milan game because that's what is happening.
Yeah, James Milner will start. Tsimikas, Kanate. Hopefully Nat Phillips gets a game. It'll be great to see him back on the pitch again. Neco Williams. I think we're going to see a huge change around.
Before we talk about the Champions League real quickly, I want to put this out there. We saw it before about the all baby oil, no brains, talking about Adama Traore. But Adama Traore runs down the wing for me. Rumour has it that he's available for 20 mil. And he would be more than willing to come to Liverpool. But obviously we have to... I don't think we have to. Everyone can see it. The guy doesn't really have an end product. Apart from scoring a goal or 2 against City last season or the season before, he's quick, but he's like, I don't know how you describe it. Um, he's like a fast race car with no traction, if that makes sense. Like he's quick, he can accelerate, but he's not really stable on the pitch. It's like it will be a heavy touch or he'll kick the ball too far. But we've always said that's something Klopp can work with him. Jimmy, would you take Adama Traore for 20 mil and play him on the wing if 20, 30 minutes or 20 minutes once a defence is down and out for the count?
Nah.
No?
Nah. I honestly don't see. I I genuinely don't think he offers enough to have a big enough impact in our squad. I look at the options that we do have, and whilst we've discussed it many times, we haven't got a huge in-depth, a huge squad depth. I still think that we would have better options in our current squad, and for that kind of money, are we looking to bring in a player like Adama Traore? Usually we're starting to think of, who's going to be the eventual replacements for Mo Salah on the wing or Sadio Mane on that wing and Bobby Firmino in the middle. Obviously, we've brought in Diogo Jota, but who's going to be the next in line to do it? Would it be Adama Traore, who might start as an impact player, and then you want someone like that to then start to feed in more into the games as the years go on? I don't think so. So I think for me, it would be about trying to bring in younger players. There's been names thrown around, and whether they're available or not, whether it's a realistic target or not. But you think simple things like Bellingham, that kind of stature of player. That's the kind of quality that we want him to be bringing in. Obviously, that's not quite 20, 30 million, but at the same time, if we want to be a team that continues to challenge for trophies and titles, Adama Traore is probably not the kind of player you want to be bringing in.
Yeah, interesting point there from Rahul. Pete just pointed out there. He reckons the Klopp will go for Jared Bowen. Is he at West Ham?
Yeah.
Scored a goal the other day, I think. Yeah, that's an interesting one there. If not in the January break, in the summer definitely. But Daddy Pig on fire. Just shout out to everyone in the chat. Absolutely buzzing at the moment. This is I love this interaction. Thank you very much. If you're not sub, please sub, like the video as well, give it a share, and like Pete said earlier on, we will look to bring some of you guys as guests on every now and again because we want to return and say thank you for joining us.
Slide into our DM.
Slide into the DMs on those accounts right there. But he says here, when we beat Barca, we didn't have our strongest front three, and we did it where opposition supporters are just trying to find reasons to panic us during the AFCON. We will win our games. Makes a good point there. A game where we really needed to win. We had no Salah on the bench, and he had that famous shirt that says "Never give up." We had Wijnaldum had to come off the bench. We had Origi. We had Shaqiri. These are the games that really do show that we can pull it together when we need to. It's more so a case of can we though? That's the trick. Back then we were a different animal, we were a different beast. This season now with other teams, leveling up, shall you say. It's probably not going to be the easiest thing, but I still think it is possible. I still think it is doable. We definitely can do that. So, Pete, Adama Traore for you, yes or no?
I mean, I'll make my answer quite quickly. If it's 20 mil, 25 mil as the rumored, whatever it is, he's still fairly young. I think he's the same age as Origi. I think he's 25, 26, somewhere. I'm pretty sure he's in that bracket there of age group. If you can quickly check for me.
Doing it right. 25 years old. 25 years old, built like a brick shithouse.
Look, if you were to tell me right now, 30 minutes to go in a match, you're chasing a game or you're whatever it is, you need a goal, and you can bring off Adama Traore for 30 minutes to run at a tired back line, and you're going to say no. For 20, 25 mil, for me, it's a no-brainer. I would go for that. I know that he doesn't suit our, the style that our first 11 play. He doesn't really fit in to that. But just like Origi, who doesn't fit, Firmino and Jota's profile, he offers something different when he comes on the pitch. And I think someone like Adama Traore with his pace, regardless if he's a bit of a banana with the ball that he's like, he trips over his feet like the banana peel stuff where he falls over and slides over because his baby all up to the fucking head to the toe. But if you're an opposition manager and you see Adama Traore go on, regardless of what your plan is, you've got one eye on him. It's purely because of his pace is absolutely electric. And we know that our style of play, we can score a counter-attack at any moment. And there's a counter-attack at any moment with us. So to have Adama Traore who suits a counter-attacking football kind of style on the pitch with 20, 30 to go with Salah on the other side, you're telling me you wouldn't put him on? Or you wouldn't have that player off the bench with our kind of coaching staff, how good they are developing players? For me, again, at that price tag, if it was a cent over, no. But for that price tag, 20, 25 mil for a 25-year-old who's got that one attribute that suits our style of play going forward, I'm a yes.
Yeah, he does have the pace on him, but interesting note here from Rizlay says Adama Traore is similar to Origi. They both look like the part, but they have no footballing IQ. Good substitutes, but nothing else. Well, if
that's what
all
we need, though.
Yeah, a substitute, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not
That's what we
expecting
need, off the
Adama to
bench.
start. No chance.
Cup
but,
games,
yeah,
who cares?
just run. Everyone's like, yeah, whatever, we need a goal, just play it in. But that's depending on how the game's going, though. If they're playing against low blocks like, Wolves set up against us, then we've got no chance. We have to play counter-attacking football. But for for a team like against City, for example, you might come in useful there because he scored a goal against them, and City like to play the high line, so Pep might like to live dangerously. Rahul says here, if the players leave for AFCON after Jan 2nd, they would miss Brentford and Palace. The other games that would be an FA Cup game or even a Carabao Cup if we beat Leicester. So interesting, that one there. We want revenge against Brentford. I think we definitely want revenge there. And Jason also says he'd go for Neto, not Traore. So another player from Wolves.
But it also cost another 50 mil more.
Yeah, Neto. Yeah, Pedro Neto would cost a little bit more than what Adama would. So that's there. But it's been a fantastic chat. We can't go without mentioning the AC Milan game. Who gets to experience the magic of the San Siro? Well, just looking at a possible starting 11 here. We're looking at Origi starting perhaps, Minamino, as we mentioned. Kate has been back in training. Tyler Morton as well. He could come on and play midfield. Oxy reckon start or Henderson perhaps in the back line. Kanate might get a run. I don't know if you start Matip or no, you wouldn't start Matip. Probably go Virgil again maybe. Tsimikas, Williams perhaps at right back. Pete, what are you thinking? Read this comment first.
For me, I'd actually go full change. Like I'm talking front three of Origi, Minamino, and if we can have Cape Gordon, excellent. I think because he's under a certain age group, I don't think he needs to be registered. Plus, he plays in the UEFA League, so I think he can, like similar to Tyler Morton. I think then I'd go with obviously Ox, Milner, and Tyler Morton. Speaking of the devil, and then I'd even Tsimikas, Kanate, Phillips, Neco Williams, and like honest to God, I'm talking all of them off and just relax and play this group of players who are probably going to have to help us some point through December and January anyway. So why not give them some valuable minutes in a match that literally does not matter of the outcome?
Yeah.
The only thing to remember is Jimmy Milner has intentionally got himself that yellow card, so he won't be travelling to Milan.
So we have to share minutes. Like Henderson and Fabinho will have to share minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like it's big deal.
Or is Curtis Jones back from his eye injury?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. Like these weird explanations, like he's got an eye socket problem and he's been out for 12 weeks. It's just so odd. But I think hopefully he's back and ready because I'd love to see him back to the form he was in, and even Naby Keita to get back on and get some valuable minutes before he kicks a blade of grass again. And I think it's like I said, if you rotate the full way through, no half rotations, just the whole thing.
Yeah.
You could probably argue that maybe Gomez might be in with a chance. I don't know if you want to start him because he's back in training alongside Naby Keita, so he'd probably start. But apart from our injuries, also AC Milan are without Rebic, Kia, Giroud is injured, Calabria, Castillo, whatever his name is as well. But Zlatan didn't play on the weekend, so he'll play against us again. But again, they need to win. This is the thing. They need to win their game to have any chance of progressing. So for us, it's whatever. Like, we can just pass the ball around and like Pete said, lose 25-0. Who gives a shit? Let them qualify. But, the mentality we have, we're going to go out there and we're going to expect to win. So, James, I want to ask you then, like Peter said, touch wood, pray to whichever deity you believe in, do whatever ritual you need to do. We should not go in hard out in this game because we cannot avoid injuries, even to the quote unquote bit part players or the players coming back from injuries. We don't need to have them aggravated again. So you hope that the players that start just get game fitness, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's number one priority is to go out, put in a good performance, get the minutes in the engine. Simple as that. In saying that, going to an iconic stadium like the San Siro, we also want to go. We want to put in a performance. We want to come back with 3 points nonetheless. As much as for us it's a dead rubber, I mean, AC Milan are currently sitting in a Europa League spot, and Atletico Madrid will be. I think they're actually going to Porto. I think they're playing away, so they'll be gunning for a win because they can still qualify for a Champions League knockout spot. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fantastic one for us to be a part of, and I really hope that we do see a full change side, because if we're going to get the blood flowing over the next few weeks, now's the time to be doing it, and this is the perfect fixture for it. Hoping to walk away with a nice 2-0 win.
Yeah, well, the reason why I say hopefully we won't have any injuries, like I said, because AC Milan need to win this game, and they need to better Porto's result because they're playing Atletico Madrid, because they're still in with the chance as well, I think, if that's correct.
Yeah, 1 point between the three teams.
Yeah, so it's gonna be neck and neck. So those teams really need to be on their game. So it's gonna be an interesting one. And look, the Champions League is not something you want to risk going out of. So we're already done and dusted. We can do whatever. It's going to be a case of how AC Milan approach this game. If they're going to be aggressive, if they're going to press, if they're going to be on our asses, shall we say. Peter, are you expecting anything out of the ordinary in this match from us at least, or you just expect to just play as how we normally play?
I just think we're going to do the best we can to replicate what the first team does with the players that we're playing, because, again, going back to what we said earlier, there's going to be times during this busy period we have coming up, and I hate saying the words AFCON again because it's what we've been speaking about, but I hope that we try and replicate and push these fringe players, if you want to call them that, to the absolute limits against AC Milan, which will provide a tough task, obviously away as well, hostile atmosphere. They need to win. And you know what? Again, there's a beautiful moment, because if we win, how good is that? You know, we won every single game. If we lose, how good is that? Atletico Madrid miss out. So it's one of those ones where I love watching games where there's no, like, I don't care what happens, and it's such a good feeling watching these kind of games. You can actually enjoy them so much more. So like I said, I hope we kind of push these players to absolute limit to make sure they're ready to step in.
Yeah, just quickly on the players here. Do you like things? Says Naby frustrates me more than any current player. If he's back from injury, love to see him play some minutes. Ox also needs more time, so he needs to step up a gear. And the Reclaimer says if Naby plays like he did before his injury, all's well. It's going to be good. Rizla's off. Thank you for joining us, Rizla. And before we wrap things up, just a few stats on this game against AC. We've won our last 5 Champions League matches. How good is that? We have scored at least 2 goals in our last 5 matches in the Champions League, so more goal-scoring threats there. We've won our last 3 matches against AC in all competitions as well, and they've been under 2.5 goals in AC's last 3 games in the Champions League, and we've scored at least 2 goals in our last 3 games against AC Milan as well. So, as I was saying, there's goals to be had there. They need to win. We just need to not be injured and just cruise along. I think it's going to be a nice game to enjoy. Pete, when you're a coach and you say to the boys, to the lads out there, just go out and have some fun. That's what it's going to be. Just go out there and just like kick back and just do whatever you got to do, mate.
I think that could be the intention. I would never say that, to be fair. I don't think Klopp would ever say that. I think you want to put pressure on the ones who need to step in at the right times eventually, again, during the period coming up. So you want to add that little bit of pressure on them, but within your staff, and obviously you know that this is one of those ones where it's like, let's see how they enjoy themselves under pressure. So, yeah, because I think you need to test them in these moments. So, by the way, Jason, I need to reply to this because, so, Jace, what's happened here for us, just to let you know, George is in the process of having a wedding very soon, and he's very busy. Myself, I've gone back into full-time football, and it's hard to find time to prepare for that show. We do need 3-4 hours just to prepare for that show, so that's why it's gone missing for a little bit. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, in the new year it comes back, and because we will be freed up a little bit longer in the new year. So the training ground will come back, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Good times indeed is going to be great. All right, with that being said, I'll get some score predictions in that case. And by the way, Peter, you correcting me. That's why I'm not a coach, because I just look at things like, yeah, whatever, it's a nothing game, just go do your thing. But that's why you're a coach, and I'm just an armchair pundit who gets it wrong half the time, more often than not. So I'll go to you then first. Pete, what's the score prediction for this game?
2-2.
2-2 draw. That's all right. Mr. Nicholson.
Look, I still think we're going to walk away with 3 points. I think it'll be a nice 2-0 victory. Nothing too flash. Do what we got to do. Go home. Get ready for the weekend.
It would be a little bit poetic if we went up 3-0 and then they ended up scoring and drawing the game 3-3. That'd be a bit fun, but it doesn't serve them any good because they still need to win. I just think that'd be funny. I don't think it's going to happen, but weirder things have happened. It is football after all. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
The only thing for me, all I want is Porto to beat Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Whatever happens after that, I don't care. Don't care.
We will be doing a show though, post Milan. So that next morning after the game, if you're over there the next morning, if you're with us that night of the game, we're going to do a show again. So yeah, stay tuned for the. What is it, Nick? What do you call it? What do you do with the thumbnail? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I do the artwork. So if you like the artwork, that's all down to me. It's basic, but it's effective, and I'm pretty proud of it most of the time.
So we're doing a show. So get ready for the next show. And DM us if you want to join us, please.
That's it. Get on it.
I think it'll be Wednesday night, so it's a Tuesday night game for those
so Wednesday
overseas.
morning for them.
Yeah, Wednesday night for us. Wednesday morning for yourself. So going to be a good discussion. Hopefully we have some things to talk about. Hope we have some players stepping up, scoring some goals, and putting some performances in. Because mate, the weekend coming after that, Pete's going to have his heart torn because Villa come to Anfield. So interesting discussion to be had there.
Yeah. Fuck, it's going to be a funny show. That one. That's going to be a funny show.
Shout out to Lucky.
To
Shout out to Do You Like Things. Shout out to Daddy Pig. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Rizla. Shout out to Rahul. Shout out to the Reclaimer. Shout out to everyone who's watched and joined us. We absolutely love the interaction. It's nice to see fellow Reds from all around the world. Kicking back with a couple of, a trio of Aussie lads discussing the Reds because Liverpool are worldwide and Liverpool are Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide. So there's a cheesy music reference there. But that's it from myself, Nick, Pete, and Jimmy. Thank you very much. Up the Reds. And DIVOCK Origi is a cult legend, not a Liverpool bona fide legend. That's just my opinion.
End the show.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.